Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming. And let me first mention another instance of the creativity of Morgan and ICSI. So 2 days ago, this was on the program as a panel of the founders. I said, okay. And I deliberately didn't look at the videos to make it sort of panel-like and we could be fairly spontaneous. Yesterday, it had turned into separate talks from the four founders. Today I find that it sort of implies I'm going to give a 10-year review, which I'm not. Okay, so we could do that, but I won't. I will say a few things about my understanding of the founding, and there are quite a few people in the room who were there at the beginning or very nearly at the beginning in different roles, including a number of people who were students at the time. And so I'm also going to warn you that we expect that after I say a few things, other people will give perspective on, let's say, starting with the really earliest days of ICSI as seen from other perspectives, including this gentleman who was also here from the beginning. So my understanding of the way this gets started, and actually Gerhard Gross may be able to even give us more insight on this, is that Professor Schapersky and Ron actually sort of understate the heroic nature of what they were able to do. So the German National Computer Lab was set up very early and uniquely. There still isn't any place else that tried to do what they tried to do. And interestingly enough, one of the initial key scientists of this, Carl Adam Petrie, has done work which remains at the core of our current research. So that it not only serves social functions, there was really world-class path-breaking research, but it was a bureaucracy and it wasn't moving as fast as they would like. And when Schapersky took over as director, he pushed a program of having outposts near major German research universities, and this worked well. So they had branches of the GMD near the major German research universities, and then they got the idea, well, if that worked, there seems to be a fair amount of activity in the US in this area, maybe we should try to set up a branch of the German Research Institute near a good American research university. So they did, and there's competition. Now, in fact, that didn't quite sell. There was a negotiation. The people at Berkeley said, no, we're not going to have a German research institute. We will have an international research institute with, core German sponsorship. And so that worked out, I think, quite well. It really required a lot of people of goodwill. I honestly don't think, and hopefully you can correct me on this, that this would be possible in Germany today. I know perfectly well it would not be possible in the US today to have this forward-looking thing where we're investing a non-trivial amount of money to develop basic science and the people. So let me say the ethos of ICSI, because it's very simple. The miracles that it works. So the ethos of ICSI is simply that we do first-class research, nothing proprietary, everything is open. And the thing that we have told sponsors all along, and I'm sure Morgan still does, we don't have products, we don't actually produce students, we don't have endowment. The only reason for us to exist is to do cutting-edge research and international cooperation. And we've always told the sponsors, if there's someone else doing it better, we'll quit. So when I was doing the original recruiting, there was a question of how do you get people of this caliber to come to a place that has no tenure and no endowment and so forth. And the recruiting line was, and I think remains, that your job security, when we fold, is that you'll do such good work that you have no trouble getting additional jobs. And that still works. So that's the way the Institute works. And as I said, it's been pretty successful. The 10-year anniversary, and we had one, featured really technical flashbacks and flash forward. We were able to, I think, fairly convincingly show people that the research themes that ICSI had picked up in the late 80s, which met a lot of resistance, were by the late 90s really quite routine. And we won't go through that today as such, but when you hear the technical talks, it should be obvious that over a wide range of areas, ICSI is still at the forefront in really important things, including the international cooperation. So I'd just like to thank a couple people who were crucial to the founding of ICSI and its early success that haven't been explicitly mentioned. One of them is Werner Kunz, who was the managing director of this Verein that held everything together in Germany for over a decade, has passed away. And Robert Walensky, who was the chair of computer science after Ferrari and actually was my buddy. He was the one who, at a personal level, talked to me about getting into all this, and was also, as I recall, the host of Wolfgang Walster, who was a visiting faculty or something at the time. So Wolfgang was around when this started working with Robert. As many of you know, Robert's encountered a series of severe physical attacks and isn't any longer able to function professionally, but was a major factor in getting this thing started. So I just have one other story to tell before other people get to tell stories. That is how this guy got here. Okay, so what happened is that so Ron Kay was the acting director. I was still in Rochester, sort of parachuting in from time to time and trying to get things done. And there was this rumor that there was this pile of money around, and the various, let's say, assertive entrepreneurial scientists in the Bay Area were hustling Ron Kay to get some of it. And one of them was Morgan's boss at the time, who can remain unnamed, who had given this story to Ron, and it had, I was working on brain modeling and stuff. This guy had something to do with the brain, and we should give them a lot of money. He says, okay, we'll go look. So we went over to that lab, and the guy was a charlatan. Okay, but there was also all this good work being done. We started looking at the technical stuff. I did, and said, somebody in here actually knows what they're doing. Okay, and we tried to find out who. Okay, and that was Morgan. And also, more or less at the same time, I, with characteristic modesty, got a bunch of the senior faculty at EECS together at lunch and said, look, we're starting this new thing. We're going to bring in group leaders. Who are your best students from the years past, best PhD students, who for some reason have gone off somewhere who you'd love to have back? Okay. And Morgan's name came up again. Sounded good to me. So he and I got together, and as part of the initial setup of the Institute, we decided we would quixotically try to build a connectionist network supercomputer, a sort of brain modeling machine. And we sort of did. A lot of good research came out of that, and careers including that of Krista, who's over here and we'll talk later this afternoon, is back on the Berkeley faculty. This thing didn't do what we had hoped it would do for the completely standard reason, which is by the time we actually got it done, standard technology has gotten to the point where you could simulate just as well, things off the shelf. Okay, but we learned a lot and had a good time. So that's the sort of short form of my recollections, and what I'd like to do is get other people. Let's start with people who were here, within the first 2 years.